Not that long ago, me and my boy were out in the minivan looking for some firewood that we could bring home. And I gathered up all the wood, got it all up in the back of the van, and then we got home and it was time to unload it. And like every little boy, he wants to help his dad unload the wood. And what I noticed about him was, you know what? He's a pretty strong kid. And on top of that, he thinks he's a strong kid. And you know, there were pieces that he picked up like this that he picked up with ease, and I could see as he took one step after the other and he began to unload pieces about this size and this weight, his confidence, he was helping dad out, he was getting the job done, and you could see it was building a sense of pride in him that he was doing work with his dad. However, as the task grew and as the weight of what needed to be carried grew, I saw something begin to change in him. You know, if we look at our lives, there are a lot of things that you might carry in life that are relatively easy. Maybe it's juggling your schedule. Maybe it's just the day-to-day grind of work or school, some aspect of your life. When you think about it, it's like, this is nothing. I mean, you can carry this all day, every day. You've been doing this for decades. You've been doing it for years. But maybe like my boy, there's a transition in life. Maybe you got married. Maybe you have kids. Maybe it's a transition with a job or some part of your education. And next thing you know, you have found yourself in a part of life that's more like this. Well, my boy picked up something about this size. He really began to struggle. He wasn't moving with the sense of ease that he had before, confidence with his head held high. Actually, he was almost completely focused on the task at hand, just being able to carry the weight from one place to the next. The enjoyment that was on his face had all but disappeared. Maybe you're living this part of your life right now where the thing that you're carrying is now taking away all of your sense of joy and excitement and sense of confidence. Maybe your very self-esteem was tied in the previous weight that you carried, and now that you've gotten a hold of this thing, it is all that you can do to get from one day to the next, to the next, to the next. Well, finally we got to the heaviest stuff. And you know, when it got really heavy, I saw him begin to break. He couldn't carry it anymore. The weight was simply too heavy. So I looked at him and I said, "Hey, you want me to help you carry that?" He said, "Yeah, please." And we began to carry this wood, this incredibly heavy weight, to our little burn pile. And when we got done, Hyler looked at me and he said, "Hey, Dad, we did it." And we high-fived. But you know what he didn't know? What he didn't know is that I, as his dad, was carrying most of the weight the entire time. You know what's really cool about what God says in His Word? In Isaiah 53:5, "But He was wounded for our transgressions, He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon Him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with His stripes we are healed." You see, what's amazing is that when Jesus came down to this earth and He suffered and died and rose again, see, He carried the weight that would otherwise crush us. If you're in a season of your life where you no longer believe and feel that you can carry that weight, do you realize that you were never created to carry those burdens? That God wants to carry those burdens with you. In fact, God took those burdens upon His own shoulder, the full weight of all of the stuff that you deal with in your place. That's His heart for you. And if you're someone who's now finding yourself on the other side of something that almost broke you, are you aware? Have you ever reflected on the reality that God was carrying that weight all along? You see, Jesus was crushed so that you would never ever be crushed. In fact, because he took that weight upon himself, what he wants more than anything is one day for you and I to rid ourselves of those burdens and those weight, and just to look at us with the high five moment. Well done, good and faithful servant.